And now we are live on YouTube. I'm just waiting for it to pop up. I'm just checking it out. All right, we are live on Instagram and we are live on YouTube. Good stuff. All right, this is Steph. Should I call you Doctor? I should call you Doctor Steph. We're in a different format now.
Yeah, yeah.
I have to get used to that. Someone was actually letting us know, kind of like talking about that recently. Said, "Hey, you guys got to remember to give Dr. Steph her, her rights. How do you feel as a professor? This is random, but how do you feel as a professor of psychology, also a what you call it, a psychologist? Is it? Do you feel that strong attachment? Like you feel like you work so hard for it. Like how do you feel about that? I don't know how it feels to have a doctorate degree.
Yeah, I worked hard for it, so yeah. What do they say? Give you my props? That's what
Give
you
you your
mean?
props.
Give
Give
my
props where it's
props.
due.
Yeah, yeah.
I love it. I love
It's
it.
just a matter of,
I love it. I
for
don't
me,
blame you.
it's more in a professional capacity. Like when people are with me and talking with me casually, it's Stephanie, or like some of you young people say, "Hey, Dr. Steph." That's more endearing, friendly. But in a professional capacity, I think you should honor the title. Like I know you as Keith, but I'm speaking to you publicly. It's you're Elder Keith also. So yeah.
Right. Right. I have no problem giving respect where respect is due. So I can appreciate that. So I just want to thank you first of all for coming on here to talk to my young audience. I've been doing live videos with persons, mostly young persons who have actually been through mental health challenges, and we've been having great discussions. But my goal was always to have an experienced person, someone who has studied psychology, to
Hmm.
really be able to give us a little bit more closure. You know, I never told you this, but I have, and I expressed this as well online, that I've had anxiety attacks. I've been having anxiety attacks when I was about 16, but I didn't always know what it was. I just thought I felt weird when at certain points,
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
didn't know what was going on. And then I had a friend who suffered from anxiety and depression. And and she was diagnosed, and she was receiving treatment and counseling and all that. So she was well aware of how anxiety looked, how depression looked. So when I described my experience with her, she kind of was like, "Hey, did you know that you have anxiety?" She was like, "What are you describing as anxiety?" I was like, "Anxiety? What?" I was
Or
so
you think you're meaning more like panic attacks?
it's it's something like a panic attack. Like you
Yeah.
get really anxious, and then
Yeah, it's more of a panic attack. It's a
it's
kind
not
of
a panic attack.
anxiety. Yeah, it's the proper name would be a panic attack. But
Okay,
it's like a anxiety if you want to think about it on steroids. Think of it that way.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I actually decided to do counseling years after that at school,
Hmm.
and I actually found much relief. So it's kind of helped me to grow a greater appreciation for the professional world of counseling, and yeah, I just really appreciate what you all do. I think that it's so noble, and it's so needed, and it's like one of those things that people need but they don't know they need. And I just think I just
Or they know they need it, but because people are so ashamed about having mental health issues. This because of the stigma attached to it. It's like if you have it, you're something that's something wrong with your character, like you're weak. Like if you just snap out of it and just be strong and pull yourself out of it, it will go away. So it's not considered like, oh, this is something like a broken leg or a strain or diabetes or whatever. It's like something is wrong with your character. You're too weak and you kind of let this happen to you. And so people kind of feel they take on a greater sense of responsibility for mental health issues when there's real help available and support.
Right. How has society gotten so messed up? Why is it that as a young person we can't come to our parents or our family or a friend and openly talk about these things? What is really the stem of why there's such a large stigma on mental health?
I think maybe part of it relates to sometimes the behaviors that people who are mentally ill engage in. They seem the ones that get like press, get reported in the news, are very extreme. Um, if someone who's mentally ill either kills someone or hurts someone, that's going to be on front page news. And so people begin to kind of paint all mental illnesses that people are acting in these strange ways. And so I think maybe that's part of it is that a lot of what people hear about it is extremely negative, extreme behaviors, and it's scary because and I think probably too because people don't think you can recover, that there's no real help for it. Um, so I think those so it's not just necessarily one thing, but a lot of these little things. And then people don't like as I mentioned earlier, people think of it as a character flaw as opposed to this person is not well. Hmm.
So among young persons, because I really like to cater to my young audience. I don't have nothing against catering to other persons, but that's my
Older
target.
people, yes, I got you.
Yes, the younger people are the future, and that's my target audience, right? Persons in their 20s primarily. If I catch some a little lower and some higher, that's fine too. But what, from your knowledge, what do you think is the most prevalent reason for mental health challenges among persons in their 20s?
I might almost want to flip that back to you and ask you. What are what are some of the issues that you're dealing with? But based on experience and just in terms of what I know about the research, people in there's a new, relatively new term. It's called emerging adulthood. So that's like from
Mm,
18-ish to mid to almost late 20s. And I think the researcher who coined the term is Arnett. I can't remember the first name right now. But particularly at this point in history, it seems that the challenges that people in that age group face are a bit different than what maybe in my parents' generation or even in my generation, because I don't even remember hearing that term when I was in that age range. And so you have the challenges of, you're coming out of school, you're trying to establish yourself in life. um, what are the next step? What are the milestones? Graduating from college, getting a job, getting a good job, marrying, getting settled in your career, succeeding in your career, and starting to start a family. Those are some of the kind of what we would call developmental or life's tasks that are usually associated with that early age, and the path there is not so straightforward and smooth, maybe as it may have seemed in other generations, like maybe in the maybe 50s and 60s, maybe in early 70s. It was very clear, boom, 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 step one, step two, step three. But there's so many more options available to young people. Um, Many young people, that age group, they graduate college and they don't necessarily strike out on their own. They may go back home, or they may bounce back and forth between being independent and going home, or not really quite establishing themselves as adults yet. And so it's kind of still a stage almost of flux in terms of what they have to deal with. And then there's so many paths that young people of that age may be going through. Like you may have people who are on the college track. There's some people who are on the, getting out of high school and getting into the work world. So there are many different pathways that people seem to have available to them. And it's almost like when you have too many options, it's hard to choose. And so it may kind of leave people a little more. destabilized or not having that state of sure footing that maybe previous generations may have had. A very clear cut path. Right now, there may be many paths that your age group can take, and it's maybe a little bit, but which one do I take, and which one is the right one in terms of life path. So those are some of the things that come to mind.
I definitely, I could definitely agree with that. For me, a lot of the things was I think maybe just kind of misconceptions in childhood and I don't know what the word you would say, but it's like really bad thinking patterns that I took from childhood, and I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know understood. I didn't understand how to cope and to think well with on certain tough issues,
Mm-hmm.
mind boggling, things. That was my main problem, why where my anxiety stemmed from. But what you're saying now is something that I went through, but I wouldn't say it was the main, going on. Oh, we back. All right, that was definitely a part of like one of the things that really hurt my head as a young person. Like it's just like kind of too much options.
Mm.
But recently, recently, and I'm proud to say, like my life, I've been simplifying life. Like I don't worry anymore. I just like, man, I young. I'm gonna pray about this decision. I'm gonna make this decision, and I'm gonna move straight forward, even if I ain't sure about it. And that makes life so much easier for me when I stop worrying about every outcome, and I think young person just need to realize that you can't really control everything in your life. Like
Is
it's
that
as much as you
related?
have a lot of control, some things
Uh-huh.
you can't.
Is you're getting there? Is that related more to what we've been dealing with in terms of the COVID experience, or did you get to that point before all of this started to unfold?
Oh, I'm talking before that
Okay.
because for me personally, I haven't been taking the COVID-19 issue that bad,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think I've been taking it pretty easy in a sense because it's been almost empowering to me in a strange way because as a creative person, my creativity has been suffering because of the traditional system of working and going home and all that and being
Mm-hmm.
tired from work. Like I feel like that's taken a toll on me. The, sh-
Okay.
the structured lifestyle that I had before COVID, and now that things have been totally messed up, I'm now able to express myself better
Okay.
in creative ways. So for me, maybe it's a little different, but
I, I think I
I could
think
imagine that it's harder for other young persons.
I think your experience is not necessarily unique to maybe you or group of young people. I think out of this COVID experience, a lot of people are recognized that they may not need as much material things or other things, and it's kind of helped them to kind of really focus in terms of what matters and what's important. And but then there's also others who may not be doing so well, may be struggling with this. So I think you have both aspects of the continuum. There are people who are coming out of this with a better sense of what they're going to do in life now, and then there are some people who are really, in a state of flux.
Yeah. So as it relates, you mentioned COVID-19. So
Hmm.
who do you see as being most impacted, not by the virus itself, but most psychologically impacted by COVID-19?
That's a really interesting question because I don't know if anybody in your audience. I know you helped me with this. Some of my colleagues at the University of Bahamas, we did a study locally looking at the mental health impact of COVID. And one of the things that was most striking to us when we started to look at the preliminary data, so we're just starting to look at it, not totally finished yet. Before we begin writing, the most striking thing I think that we found was that those who were in the 18 to 24 age group were reporting the most stress,
Wow.
were most challenged by what was going on with COVID. And I know you said that has not necessarily been your experience, but it makes one wonder, well, what's going on with these young people, 18 to 24, that they are reporting more stress than the older age groups who are more at risk. because I mean, COVID, the coronavirus, has shown up in children. I think even in infants, young adults, middle age, and older. But older people, particularly when we were first aware of this disease, they were more at risk. But the younger people in this community, I don't know what it looks like elsewhere, but in this community, those who responded, 18 and 24-year-olds, more stressed. So so we're kind of speculating now what's going on there, and then maybe you can shed some light on that. Some of the things we were talking about is um, things are looking pretty shaky in terms of employment prospects. We have a whole bunch of people just graduated from University of the Bahamas. What are their job prospects when you have so many people who were recently employed who are unemployed? So there's a lot of uncertainty that may be circulating with
Yeah.
them. So those are just one of the things that we're speculating may be happening. Um, but I don't know what you've been hearing because you have your ears, as they say, closer to the ground than I do. So you may be hearing more from your colleagues about what they're concerned about. But it doesn't seem that it's catching the coronavirus.
A lot of the thing is, a lot of my friends are still in school
Mm-hmm.
or recently graduated, so they aren't so worried about employment because at this point in your life, if you didn't have a job at 24, 23, it's not that big of a deal if you're living with your
Mm-hmm.
parents, that is, or with
Mm-hmm.
some guardian. But I feel like it's more stressful when it could be more stressful based on who you are as a person because some young persons are very ambitious. They move out at 21. I would assume that those ones would be the ones, but my a lot of my friends, the persons I've really been communicating with,
Mm-hmm.
is more so just the boredom that really bothers them the most, not being
Okay.
able to go out and hang out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and a lot of them are worried. The ones who are in school are worried that they won't graduate on time. But everybody wants to get out of school, so that's been like the biggest thing. Like, will I get to graduate? I know I have some UB friends, colleagues who wanted to march physically, like stuff like that, like the simple stuff because they work for 4 years, some longer, and then to
Mm-hmm.
not be able to march physically is could be depressing when they
Right.
already had what they was gonna wear and they had their celebration down park, and it's like a lot of people take this stuff serious, so like they
Yeah.
just that's kind of what I've been getting. But as it relates to the job part, I think that's an issue, but like the
Yeah.
younger ones that I've seen, they aren't so worried about the job prospects.
But it sounds like what you're saying is that the the milestones that mark different phases of their life they're missing out on. The
Right.
celebrations. Will and that's a big one. Will I be able to finish university? I can see why that would be stressful to that age group. And so you're kind of giving me the evidence of these may be the variables that are more problematic or more that they're focusing on more than am I going to catch the coronavirus?
Honestly, I don't
Yeah.
know of any friends. I don't have any friends who express any serious fear of actually catching the coronavirus. Me and a friend
Mm-hmm.
was just joking about it today because you know we went to a place where people were like hugging and stuff without masks, and we was like nobody around there was afraid. And me and her was like, well, we young, so we ain't really like we like the least likely to get harmed, but at the same time some of these people should probably be a little more concerned, but we was like just chilling. And it's
Okay.
like we kind of joking about it. We sitting down joking about something so serious, like because we feel strong, because they tell us that
Yes.
we strong. That's
Yes. Yes.
they brain,
Yes.
they kind
And
of
some of yes.
desensitize us to it.
Yes, and some people, some it's not necessarily a psychological term, but when people, older adults talk about the arrogance of youth, that you think that nothing can happen to you. So even though you're hearing all of these numbers and seeing what's happening in the news, it's somehow still removed from you. You don't think that's not going to happen to me, and so you're willing to take risks, not wearing your mask or breaking curfew or trying to get out there. And the things that you're more concerned about is I can't see and hang out with my friends, as opposed to there's this virus circulating in the country and around the world. Yeah, I get it. I get it.
Young, as the song say, young, dumb, and broke.
I don't know that song.
Yeah,
I
it's a
never heard
song,
that song.
Young, Dumb, and Broke.
I don't know that one. And I don't know if I'm going to endorse that. Young,
And
yeah,
that,
but you
no,
know.
no, no. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's just the extreme. I feel like a
Yeah.
young, my friends, I can vouch for my friends that they're not dumb. They might be
Uh-huh.
young and broke, but not dumb.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So yeah, I think young people need to take it a little more serious though, because even with as it relates to asthma, my friend has asthma, so she probably should be a little more, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, there isn't any proof that young persons won't die from it, because
Right.
there has been young persons dying from. So we really need to start taking it a little more serious, if you ask
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. But I guess because you're not seeing it in the numbers of the older age groups. And then on top of that, there's just this, it's just some of the, it's just part of being a young person where the outlook mentally and cognitively just is that this can't really happen to me. That's just kind of part of being a younger person. I felt that when I was younger. Then when you get older, you realize, hey, you're not so invincible. Things don't necessarily work as well as they used to in your body and whatnot and so forth. But part of it is just being young, of youth, young adulthood. You feel a little more invincible, and that kind of you have less of that as you get older.
It's a real myth. It's so sad because it's like it's like a it's like a blind over our eyes. We think that we supposed to live a certain amount of years.
Mm-hmm.
We're not supposed to get sick. We're not supposed to this, and it's like it's really a myth. And I think it takes something sometimes as serious as seeing a friend, a young friend die to wake up
Yeah.
young people to realize life is serious. We're not immune to death. We're not immune to health issues and stuff like that. Kind of
I
sad
think
what
it
it takes to get us to really wake up as young people.
and I think it's probably those experiences that begin you on the process of recognizing that begins you on the process to being, I guess, more mature, for want of a better word. But part of it is just youth. That's what happens. And but the plus side of that is you all at your age are more likely to take risks. Sometimes the risks are bad and are unfortunately
Sometimes,
deadly, but sometimes it's also risk that can reap really big benefits in terms of, like, say if you're a young person and you really want to start out, um, with a business. You're probably more likely to want to take risks then than maybe you are 20 years from that point. So you can kind of marshal and use that energy
right?
in that way in terms of launching something that's new. I think isn't the CEO or the owner of Facebook, wasn't that done as a young person? That was a big risk. I think even with maybe Steve Jobs and those with Apple, they were younger, and they took
Right.
those risks that they may not have done if they were, I don't know, maybe mid 50s, let's say. So there's some benefits to it. It's just trying to strike a healthy, happy balance, I guess.
Definitely, definitely. That I like the thing about I love that part of it. I think that's the thing that young persons need to capitalize on more. It sounds kind of bad coming. It sounds bad to tell a young person this was because you have to contextualize it. But I definitely think young people need to stop playing it so safe. You wasting your youth by playing it safe. In a sense,
Mm.
if you ask me, like from my reading, I've been reading and doing research about this whole and I'm not necessarily doing research about it, but it keeps coming up in different books I'm reading and stuff, and they keep talking about because I'm reading a book on creativity now, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing where persons who build lifestyles that young people look up to so much. A lot of times it's the persons who didn't have that security and safety. They didn't go for the safe job, what they felt was their parents would like for them, but they went for
Mm-hmm.
what they that scary dream that probably made them shake in their boots. But after they did it, it worked out. So
Right.
that's kind of the worst best advice I could give young persons as regards to your youth. Like take more risks, but also be wise,
Right.
because it's the worst advice, because if they take too much risk, then they might end up nothing in life.
Right. Yeah. And as you get older, there are more tasks and responsibilities that you have. So you're more likely to play it safe because you may have a home and family that you have to provide for. So there's something to be said about, taking those calculated risks um, when you're
Calculated.
younger. Yeah, when you're younger. Yeah. You're a little more fearless then, I guess.
Yeah, I'm about to take a very calculated risk. I'm going to talk to you about that on another platform, because
Okay.
I really appreciate your opinions and your feedback on stuff, as you already knew before this live. Um, but yeah, thanks for the persons who are tuning in. I hope you're enjoying the conversation. Dr. Steph is really down to earth. I had a bunch of questions. She was like, "Man, let's just have a talk with the young people. Like, don't worry about it. Let's just have a nice talk with the young people." So you guys who join in, I see some of y'all in the comments. Ray, Travis, Jay, feel free to ask questions. Feel free to chime in into the discussion a bit more. Johnny say, "LOL, arrogance of you, real." We all know. We all know. I got some risky friends. I got some friends who take some risks. I was the guy playing it safe, Sister Steph. I was
Uh-huh.
the safe. I was the safe kid. My friends always looked up to me, and I'm happy about that. Now I'm taking more calculated risks, because the risk that young people were taking in high school weren't calculated risks. They were just risks to make you feel good. It wasn't to get
Mm.
you anywhere in life.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm happy that I was that safe guy, and now I'm in a position where I could take calculated risks that I could really benefit from. So yeah, guys, feel free to comment, to share your questions and thoughts. So I want to switch gears a little
Sure.
and ask you this question that I got from a friend. All the questions I have right now is from young persons that uh, follow me and are on my live videos on a weekly basis. So a lot of times we feel different feelings as young people. We feel depressed. We don't even know what depression feel like. Because a lot of persons have never been, one of the persons I had on my live, she's never been to counseling. She said she's never been, but she feels as if she's had anxiety and depression. Um, and she's considering going to counseling. But at what point do you know that, hey, something is wrong? Seriously, this is not something I just need to pray about. And we know we all about prayer. We go to the same church and worship together.
Mm-hmm.
But at what point does a young person say, hey, need I need to go to seek a professional help?
Okay.
I've been praying about the situation, and things are going haywire in my head.
Mm-hmm.
What are the signs that you know it's time to go seek a professional help?
Okay, there are
Psychologically
two
and mentally.
ways, two ways I'd answer that. The first way is um, usually when people are very distressed, whatever causes that, that usually gets their attention. That, you know what, things are not the way they used to be. I'm not functioning the way I used to function. I can't concentrate like I used to. I'm not interested in things I used to be. I'm a little more irritable. I'm just not sleeping as well. I'm just not I'm just not myself. And so usually when people get to that point when it's going to interfere with their the way they're functioning in their home, on the job, and the relationships, usually when it gets to that point, people recognize that I may need help. Whether or not they actually got to go through with it is another story, because we talked about earlier the stigma attached to getting counseling. But to me, the the other answer is don't wait for it to get to that state. I think if people recognize that counseling is not just when you are deeply distressed, that you can head off things in an earlier stage as opposed to when it's further along. I remember many years ago, it didn't catch on, maybe at some point it will, but I had this idea of something I called a mental health checkup. Because my thing is,
A
We go
mental
to
health
the
what?
dentist, mental health checkup or a mental
Okay,
wellness checkup. Okay,
I like
so
that.
you have a car. You take your car for servicing so many times a year. Nothing really wrong with your car. You just know my car needs to be checked every 3,000 miles or every 3 months. And you do that so your car runs well for a longer period of time without too many problems in the interim. Or you go to the dentist twice a year. That's the recommendation to get your teeth checked. So if you're
Right,
doing that, then you're not going to end up with teeth that need to be pulled because they're rotten, because you've been having the checkups all along. So,
right,
and then it's going to even cost you less because having a cleaning every 6 months is different than having to have an extraction or a root canal or all of the other things that happen when people let their dental care lapse. And so I think of like the mental health checkup, like people just taking a stock of, just seeing someone who's a counselor to just get an assessment of, so how are you doing in terms of stress? How are you coping with challenges at work or changes in the job? If you're thinking of, changing careers, or, you kind of want to, I don't know, go back to school or whatever. Those are simple things that you can see someone in counseling about to kind of help you, support you, and direct you and help you be more concrete in terms of what you need to do. So that's why I said it's two answers. I think it's if we take care of things more on the front end, then there's less work on the back end. And so not necessarily waiting until you are really, really struggling to get help. Working at the university, I tell my students at the beginning of the year, if you're struggling in class, let me know in the first weeks, because I can help you more and easier then than if you come to me in week 12 of a 14-week semester, and you've been struggling all along. We could have kind of head off some of the challenges earlier in the semester if you come in the first 2 or 3 weeks than when you show up in week 12 or 13 and you've been struggling all semester. So just recognizing that you don't have to wait till you get to a point of distress. Sometimes just a check in, just to have someone to kind of hear you, support you, help you, direct you, focus you when it seems like you're fine is quite helpful. And just using another example, as a psychologist, one of the things we all had to do in my training, we had to go to counseling because our
wow,
teachers, our professors were like, you need to know what it feels like to be on the other side of the chair. You need to know what that's like. And so I remember when we all had to find counselors, I was like, I ain't got no issues. I feel fine. Nothing really is bad in life. Um, but in going to counseling, it just helped me to be more focused. I found that, oh, this is a way I've been kind of a little off in my thinking, that I could kind of right size, so to speak. So even though I didn't really have any issues, the counseling was still good because it helped me to be a lot more focused and clear in where I was going and what I needed to do. And so I have better empathy and sympathy and understanding of what it is to be on the other side of the chair.
I like that. I like that. I didn't know that was. Maybe I don't know if they
Yeah.
still do that. I don't know if they still do that, but maybe that was.
It's a part of the experience, to know what it feels like to be the patient or to be the client. It
Yes,
helps you to be more empathetic in terms of what someone might be going through and how challenging and how sometimes hard it could be to come there and meet a total stranger and talk to them about stuff that is really deeply challenging for you or you might be struggling with.
definitely. It's definitely not easy, but it's really worth it, and
Mm-hmm.
that's why I advocate for it so strongly because of my experience. I mean, I've been so blessed by it, and I received so much relief. It's like I'm
Exactly.
like one of the biggest advocates I know for counseling. I was ashamed of it. I didn't tell my parents I was doing
Mm-hmm.
counseling. I didn't tell really anyone I was doing counseling for probably 2 years. I did it for
Mm.
2 years without never ever letting anyone know. So it was my secret. I was kind of embarrassed, but I knew I was getting help. So I don't know why I was
Right.
so embarrassed that I was
What did we
coming.
talk about at the beginning? It makes people think that you don't want people to think that you were weak or
Right.
something. Yeah, so that's part of it. And the thing is, you said you did that in university. I think a lot of people, students in university, because sometimes when I tell them, they're like, "What?" When you're in university, most universities like UB has a counseling center, and the counseling is free. You don't have to pay for it. And I mean, you're paying enough in terms of your fees. So to kind of access that resource, it's available and it helps. And you're a living proof. You're a walking testament, advertisement. The therapy helps, therapy works. A young black male can go to therapy and get help. And so I think that's a good, you're a good, like I said, advertisement for why it works and helps and how helpful it can be.
Definitely. I don't mind being the poster boy for therapy.
Okay, I will hold you to that.
I don't mind. I would speak in front of a large crowd. I'm no longer ashamed of it. And
Okay.
I have been through the whole process, so now I know that it's even more empowering when someone like me who was ashamed of it,
Mm-hmm.
who could tell someone else, because I have friends who are ashamed of it, who would not go. And I have people
Mm.
who message me since I started the campaign and be like, hey, I thought about going, but I can't go and sit down and talk to no stranger. And like I just, because of my experience, I'm able to like understand where they're coming from. Um, my friend Tori just commented, she said, I know it's not too late for me, but I really wish I had gone to counseling before. It would have saved me a lot of trouble. She
Mm.
said, yeah, I didn't utilize the resources that were available during my college days, but it's okay, I'll get help. Yeah,
Good.
it's so
Good.
beautiful. I don't know if all
Yes.
universities do it,
Yes.
but
Most universities have a counseling center
that
or
is so
counseling
amazing.
services. Yes. Yes.
I
Yeah.
find it amazing that you can get professional help. I wouldn't even say for free, but paid in your school fee.
Yes. 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 You're right. You're paying for them somehow. Yes. But
Yeah,
hey,
because
you know what? You know what's happening at Bethany
yes, I don't know if it's
for
extended
Bethany.
to
No,
all.
Bethany members. Oh, Bethany members. That's the perks
Yeah,
of membership. Membership has its privileges.
yeah, it's beautiful that um,
Yeah.
organizations could do things like help to support the mental health of persons.
Mm-hmm.
And persons just need to take advantage of it. I think we need to
Absolutely.
invest more in awareness. Um, you see all these things about drinking and driving, and it's all cool. But we need some mental health posters around the place too. You know,
Absolutely.
some more mental
Absolutely.
health videos.
Yes, absolutely. I think we really, I thought about it at the end of May. I was like, oh, I was so busy doing my research and other things. I was like, you know what? We really missed an opportunity as mental health professionals to be more present and visible because May is Mental Health Month. But I'm really glad that at Bethany, June is Mental Health Month at Bethany. So we're really going to be promoting and pushing that. And that's where you might come in, Keith, in terms of doing what do they call it? PSA, public service announcement about why therapy is helpful to encourage the members to utilize the free service that's available to them.
You, I was trying.
Yeah.
I was trying not to make people jealous who watching
Uh-huh.
this live.
Uh-huh.
So anyway, guys, Dr. Steph is adamant about making y'all want to transfer to our church or come to our church. So I'm just gonna put it out there. Dr. Steph and I've known her since I was what 4 years old when I came to Bethany. You were there from the start, Dr. Steph,
No,
right?
no, I came in
I known her since I was 4 years
2000.
old,
2000.
right?
Uh-huh.
So, oh, you came in 2000?
Yes.
Okay, so we've known each other since 2000. That's
Mm-hmm.
20 years, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's when my memory basically start anyway. So who cares about the actual clue, right?
Uh-huh.
Um, so yes, we go to a church called Bethany Seventh Adventist Church. It's in West Ridge, if you're curious. And yes, our church is providing free counseling for our members during COVID-19 by
Yes.
professionals, right? So I'm not trying to tell you to come over. I'm just trying to say it's better on the hill, right?
Yes.
God is
Yes.
doing a mighty work in our church, and I'm very proud to
And
be a
and
part of our church.
there are community resources. There's the community counseling and assessment center on it used to be on Mackey Street is now on Collins Avenue. So that's a resource. I think the Christian Counseling Center still provides counseling, so that's a resource. And then there are a number of local professionals who, provide the service, but just might be a little more pricey. Yeah. So there's available.
Yeah, that's the next topic right there.
Yeah.
Aisha says therapy is definitely helpful from a fellow patient would for sure recommend. So we got more young people from church actually coming out. So you could actually have you got I got someone twenty regular message you about Aisha. She see that?
Okay.
You got more. It ain't gotta be only me, but I don't mind. I don't mind being a poster child. I think that our church would be very surprised to know that
Yes.
that I that I did counseling.
Yes. I think
Um,
I Elder Key, call you Elder Key. I think that I don't think you realize just by confirming that how many young people you've helped to see, oh my gosh, then I could do that.
right.
I don't think you realize how far reaching your impact would be if you would just kind of, you do it really well with your videos. You know how to put something together, hand it over to communications and let's roll with that.
Let's do it. Tell me what you need.
Okay.
I'm on it. It's
Okay.
summertime. I am a full-time content creator. That's what you can call me for now. I'm a
Content
full-time
creator.
I'm a full-time content creator.
Okay.
YouTube, photography, live videos. I'm a full-time content creator. I just right for the summer. And
Okay.
hopefully after the summer that will extend. But right
Okay.
now for the summer I'm free and I'm just making content.
Okay.
I posted
Wonderful.
today. This video uploads when we finish. This will be my fifth video I posted on YouTube today.
Wow.
So I'm ready. I'm ready to help however I
So that
can.
means when you're doing stuff you love, it's like it's no biggie. It's no hardship to just be rolling out. You're just in creative mode all the time, and you enjoy it, and
I'm in creative mode. This
it's
is the most
not
active
tedious,
tool.
and you're having fun. It sounds like you're having fun. You're having fun.
Yeah, I can edit a video. I could spend 6 hours editing a video easy
Hmm.
and enjoy it.
I think you've
So
hit. I
I
think you've
found
hit
my.
on. I think you've hit on your niche.
I've definitely found my niche. I can't see myself not doing this. I can't see myself. It makes me at peace,
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah.
Um, I understand that counseling is expensive because one of the reasons I believe you can give me more information is because the persons who are doing the counseling are professionals who have to get a doctorate degree and that's not cheap. But generally, why is counseling so expensive? Why isn't it subsidized more heavily by maybe governments? I don't know why is it like I don't know. Is it included in insurance and stuff like that?
A lot more insurance companies are covering counseling for their employees, so that as you would have a copay for a medical appointment, then you'd have a copay for your psychology appointment if your insurance covers that. And like I said, more and more companies are um, providing sessions, counseling sessions for their employees, and then there are also organizations, companies who provide what are called EAPs, Employee Assistance Program Services, so that their employees can access counseling in that way as a benefit of being a part of that company. But in terms of answer your question is why is it so expensive? Well, the first thing I wanted to say, in this region, in the Bahamas and in the Caribbean region, you don't have to have a doctorate degree to practice as a psychologist. In the US, you do. But here, you have to have a master's degree and 5 years, I think, of counseling experience to practice independently. If you come home with a doctorate, you can practice right away. But if you have a master's, you're going to have to work 5 years, I think, with a doctoral level person before you can license to practice independently. So you have a little more wiggle room in Bahamas and the region. So that's one answer to that. But the other thing is, in terms of asking that question, would you think of asking that question related to medical care? Like, why is it so expensive to have medical? It's the same thing. You're paying for expertise, but the expertise is just in psychology. And as I said, there are companies and that subsidize it for their employees as a part of the program or through insurance. There's a community program here so that people can get it either, if not free, on a sliding scale. And then, so there's the same, I guess, scenario you have with medical care or primary care. You can have low end costs as well as high end costs. And the same thing is in psychology in terms of
You
you're going
got
to
me
pay.
there. You
Yes,
got me.
yes,
You got me
yes,
there.
yeah.
You got me there.
And it's
Uh,
important. It really is important. People tend to not pay as much attention to mental health as they do to physical health. But for me,
right.
it's all health because if you're not well functioning well mentally, mind and body connection is strong. Stuff starts to not work so well elsewhere. Think about just something as simple as if you have a flu or a cold and you have to go take a test, you don't feel so good. It's hard to focus. So there's that connection in terms of if you're not well mentally, that also can have an impact in terms of how well you're functioning, how well you take care of yourself, even. So
For
something to think
sure.
about. Hmm.
For sure. That came out in one of my lives recently. One of my friends that said it in the live. She said, we need to take mental health just as seriously as we take our physical health.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. Yes.
The
Yes.
reality is, most people don't take their physical health serious anyway.
Well, true. So it's kind of a a bigger problem. If your physical health you're not focusing on, mental health is not going to be primary necessarily for you as well. So we just need to take our health seriously and recognize that it's a total package: mind, body, and spirit. Spiritual health as well. It's all connected.
How do we how do we effectively promote and encourage persons to take their mental health seriously?
I think having conversations like this um, is a step. Having testimonials from people like yourself that it works, it's helpful, it helped me, and just letting people kind of demystifying and destigmatizing it. Because, I mean, we've seen any number of TV shows that show counseling relationships. Some of them do a fairly good job, but some of them sensationalize some aspects of it so that people come away with the wrong message. And so I think if people can get a good sense of it's not so spooky and scary, then maybe they may be more likely to access the services that they need.
Agreed.
Hmm.
Agreed. I think it's just so much, like you said, there's so much stigma attached to it, and that's where the like just promoting and awareness campaigns and
Yes.
stuff like that needs
And
to come.
sustained because this point in history in the Bahamas, I think it started with Dorian. I was away when Dorian would hit, so I wasn't on the ground in terms of mental health work. But we are at a point in history in this country where people are more aware and sensitized about mental health than they've ever been. Because when you have the Ministry of Health, the Pan American Health Organization, that's PAHO, Public Hospital Authority, and the Bahamas Psychological Association coming together and providing counseling services. They did this after Dorian, and just making mental health professionals available to those who were traumatized and coming out of that experience. And then they had hotlines in place, and those hotlines are still in place, so that if people need access to by phone to mental health services, they can access those. But I think we kind of dropped the ball a little bit in terms of not publicizing it as much as we could have or we could. And so I think people are much more receptive at this point in our history to talking mental health, thinking mental health than they've ever been. So I think we as mental health professionals, the onus is on us to not drop the ball and keep the momentum going so that people can know that you know, I think I posted it on Bethany's Facebook page, I think, or maybe mine. That when the road, this is the term I use, when the road of life takes a turn, counseling can help. Road
Can't
of
what?
life, when the road of life takes a turn, counseling can help. So I didn't say when things get really bad. I'm saying when
Yeah.
things when you may be on this path, but you kind of find yourself here, counseling can help. So don't wait for it to get bad. Don't wait for it to get overly intense. Kind of think of it as a checkup. Let me just talk to someone, bounce it off someone to see how am I doing because I'm not quite sure. I think that's a good
Right.
place to start. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, for anyone watching who who really contemplating going to counseling, I'm gonna let you know that I'm also gonna do a checkup soon. It's been on my mind a lot recently. I haven't done counseling since 2018 when I graduated. I think I did my last session in the summer of 2018 after graduating, or right before graduating. So that's around maybe July. So yeah, my counselor actually advised me to continue counseling at home, but it felt so. It was tough because she was the person I got comfortable with, and
Mm-hmm.
I was like,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
start that
The
all over again.
the relationship
I don't know.
helps, but also there are people who, after successfully completing therapy, sometimes they just go back for a booster, kind of like a little refresher, like I just need to check in for a session or two because I know I'm going through this, or I hit this bump or this hiccup, and sometimes that's all they need to get them back on the road again. So that
Right.
might be something you might consider. Just checking to see how am I doing. This is what's going on. So sometimes people do that. Even after like completing a course of therapy, they may check in every now and again with their counselor or their therapist.
Yeah,
So yeah.
definitely. I could use a little booster and a little extra too.
Okay.
So
Well, you
I've
know the
been looking.
services are available.
Yes, definitely. I'm just waiting for it to officially,
It has
has.
June. We're in June 5th. June was the launch.
Okay, I'm feeling biased. I've been hearing about it. I probably missed it. I probably missed
Yeah,
it.
yeah, and I've seen it. I've seen it playing on looping on Bethany's page a lot today. I saw it several
Okay,
times posted and people sharing it. So we are we're a go. We're done. We're out the gate.
that's good to know. So you'll definitely be hearing from me soon.
And the wonderful thing is, this is kind of one of the benefits of the COVID experience is that because we have been doing a lot of health, whether it's psychology or medical health, we've been doing it online, virtually. People can, access it from the privacy of their home using, platforms like this or Zoom. I don't use Zoom. I'm using another, more of a psychology practice-based platform. It's a little more secure. So people can do it, access it from the privacy of their home. And I can tell you, I know from my experience and from my colleagues, I think a lot more people are going to continue to use this as a resource because it's so much more accessible to
Right,
people, particularly the times like in person. I'm only going to see people for a period of time, but I'm going to cut off because I don't want to be in office too late. But if I decide and I'm okay with it, I could see someone online at 7 or 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock from my home and their home. So it's much more
right.
accessible, or early morning appointments. So it's much more accessible in this way. And I find that, what, I'm not really missing. I thought I would have been missing something in terms of the connection and being able to sense what's going on and watch what's going on with the person I'm working with. But I'm still able to kind of pay attention to all those nonverbals and speak to those as well.
Right.
So it's a very good tool, I think, and may make people more open because it's more accessible.
Okay. I had a discussion recently, which brings me to this question of: is it recommended to see counselors that you know personally?
In our training, there's always discussion about dual relationships in terms of like how you know me and then coming to
Right.
see me as a counselor. And so that's usually discouraged. But what I found when I came home, and in turn, each of my colleagues did when they came home, is that, our reality in this country is so much different than in the US, where there's a lot more in terms of capacity, in terms of psychologists and the resources. So it's hard to say, I'm not going to see you because I know you in another context. It's very hard. Can you imagine if I was in a family island? I'm not, but let's say I was in a family island and I can't see anybody there because I'm either going to church with them, to work with them in my
You know
neighborhood.
everyone basically.
Exactly. So we have a whole nother reality that we have to address. And so what we have been finding in our context, and we've had this discussion with our colleagues in the region as well, is that we have to do what works. And so just making sure, just as far as possible, making sure that you have, as far as possible, that you try to build a professional relationship if this is the way you have to go. Because most of the people who are, I'm going to say it, Bethany, I know them. I can't get around that. And so, still being able to maintain a professional boundary with them and being able to help them. And so, like I said, we have to do what works. And I'm so glad there's a lot of the literature that talks about, in rural communities and small communities, how do you make that balance? And we just have to, because it's our reality. Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair.
Hmm.
You have to be able to adapt because
Right.
rules are written within with limitations. You know, there's always gonna be
Uh-huh.
some way where you need to adjust based on the context.
Exactly. And the context of the U.S. and the big cities of the U.S. is very different than our reality, and also very different than the small rural communities in the U.S. that may be very similar to our experience, where the person who's the only psychologist or who's one of only two psychologists in a particular area. So we got to do what works and do good work and relate to our clients in an ethical, professional, competent manner. And so I think that's what's most important.
I like that.
Hmm.
So for persons who may be a little iffy about going to counseling, let me not say iffy. For some persons who are completely against it, but you personally as their friend, you know this person has mental health challenges, and you want to help them in some way, and you realizing that telling them to go to counseling is not going to work. How can you, as a friend who has some knowledge of psychology and counseling, maybe you did counseling, how can you assist your friend who is going through mental health challenges as someone who's not a professional?
I mean, what they say, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. You can encourage. You can, like your experience, you can share with, your colleagues or your peers, your friends, how it helped you. You can help find resources for them, but it's going to take them following through to make the difference. And so the only time that we can force people to get help is if they're a danger to themselves or to someone else. Otherwise, I could talk until I'm blue in the face. If someone can be referred to me, I get referrals all the time. Or I get colleagues who say, "Oh, I referred," or "I will be referring so and so to you," but they don't necessarily always call. So you can, try to. We are talking earlier about how to make things easier so that people can use them or access them. You can do as much of that as you can, but there's a step that that person has to take in getting the help that they need.
Definitely. There's only so much and so far you could take someone, you could do
Mm-hmm.
someone.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I'm going to get personal on this one because I called you a few months ago,
Mm-hmm.
very distraught based on my trying to help someone
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
who was going through a tough situation. And you gave me some advice that really helped to change the way I viewed helping people.
Mm-hmm.
Share with me that advice. Share with our audience that advice you gave me. If you remember, you
I do
remember?
remember. I remember the
Fine. I
situation.
will refresh you. I will refresh you.
I
And
remember
then
the
you
situation.
pick up where I refer,
I
where you
remember
want
the
to.
situation. I remember I said a lot to you because you remember I was in the middle of some stuff myself.
No
So,
problem. I'm going to start it
but
off for
I
you.
don't remember
If you want me
what I
to.
told you that made the difference. So you're gonna have to tell me what I said.
I'll start it, and I'm sure you could finish it.
Uh-huh.
So you told me, you have to remember that you basically can't be everything for everyone, and that person's challenge is their challenge. As much as you want to care and be this good hero guy, and you want to be the strong person and help people, that is not your problem. You need to help people, but remove yourself in a way from their problem. You remember now? Is that refreshing?
It's refreshing. So I think what I was speaking to you about is sometimes we take on people's challenges and we try to fix them, but that's not necessarily our role. And that is really necessary, it's going to be really necessary to, I think this is the part that I remember speaking to. It's really necessary to help, but to know where your boundaries are, because you could get so overly involved that you kind of lose yourself and you get worn out because you're trying so hard to help. And then you become drained and burnt out and you don't want to help anymore because you've been giving so much of yourself. You haven't placed the proper boundaries in place to know this is what I can do, this is what I can offer, this is what I can provide. But beyond that, that person is going to have to move it forward. And so just know what your boundaries are is very, very important, because you could kind of get a little meshed in there, and then it ends up being problematic for you and the person, and then you end up resenting them, and you just then you don't want to help anybody because it's just so emotionally draining for you.
Right. And I had to give that same advice. I appreciate you so much for it because it enabled me. And I learned this quote recently that's so powerful. It said something like, um, education is basically you basically shedding light on your own ignorance in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard of education in that way, like in that quite obviously it's kind of obvious, but the way they worded it and placed it, it was like an eye opening. Like basically sometimes you could see your own, you could look back and see your own ignorance and smile at it. And sometimes the beauty of that quote was it makes me wonder what else am I ignorant about? You know, what else do I feel strongly about that if I just talk to Steph or Brother Harvey and
Mm-hmm.
they were able to like share experiences and wisdom and truth to me and I could say, wow, I really I really believe that I really was allowing myself to be pulled down like that. Like that's the kind of vibe I got when I read that statement, and that was one of the things that really impacted me in a great way because I'm someone who really likes to encourage people and help people. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing right now. But now I feel I'm more prepared to do what I'm doing now as one or two people begin to reach out to me on a personal level who I may not have known. They doing it based on what I'm doing now. Now I'm able to say, okay, I had a girl came on my live and literally talked about attempting suicide.
Mm-hmm.
She knew that it was a live video. She knew that it's public now, but she said she's right. She's okay with sharing it to the public.
Okay.
At the place I'm at now, I'm able to hear that, feel for her, but not want to cry or break down like, oh my
Or
gosh.
you got to jump in there and
Because
fix it.
yes, because I know she's not even in my country. I can't go and help her. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not in that position. So either way, so it's like, yeah, it's like that really helps, especially I think people who have a passion for helping people need to hear that. That's something that a lot of people don't know because I had a friend the other day just saying he said some really things that he thought was really good and the extent he would go to help person, but he didn't know how toxic and how much that would damage him. And I had to kind of let him know what he told me and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. And I don't know if he accepted it or not, but I was able to see myself in him just a few
Mm-hmm.
months ago and see how toxic it really is.
Yeah. like I said, just having proper boundaries. You can care, you can
Boundaries,
shed a
that's the word.
tear, you can see what you can do to help, but you have to recognize that there is a place where you have to kind of protect yourself so that you can be of assistance to others. It reminds me of a title of a talk one of my colleagues gave. I love the title. She said the title was, and we hear it all the time when we fly, that please put your oxygen mask on first before you help someone else.
Right.
What a lot of people try to do is they try to put other people's oxygen masks on and they don't have their mask on and they pass out. They can't help anybody. So put your mask on first and then you can help another person. So, yeah.
I love that. I love
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna we're gonna end on that note. Put your
Okay.
mask on first before you try to help someone. I love that. That is powerful. And
And
I
that
believe,
is so appropriate right now, too. COVID, mask.
wow. It's almost, that's a real pun.
I didn't plan on it, but it worked.
That's
It
I
worked.
like the pun. Put the
Yeah.
mask on first.
Put your mask on first. Yeah.
Yeah, and
That
I
sounds like
believe,
a slogan for something. You work that. Put your mask on first. It sounds like a slogan. Maybe that's what you could use when you put together your promo PSA for mental health. Work that.
okay,
Work that angle.
okay.
Put your mask on first.
Put your mask. Hey, somebody tweet that. Somebody tweet that, and we got to make sure you quote Dr. Stephanie Hutcheson on that. I'm gonna tweet that today. I'm gonna put that on my WhatsApp, IG, putting that everywhere. Put your mask on first
Yeah.
before. Hey, that I probably can
Yeah.
share the same little block of the video
Uh-huh.
and let that go viral to promote this video.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
anything you want to say before we wrap up? Before I thank you.
Um, just that I'm really this was fun. I'm glad I had the opportunity for us to have a conversation about things that matter to young people, and I think it worked out really well, like we expected. That as we talked, stuff will just flow in that matters, and that I hope that someone that this discussion and this dialogue that we have was helpful for someone.
Thank you. I'm happy that you enjoyed it.
Hmm.
I definitely did. I really appreciate you, of course, your wisdom you bring and the nice vibe. I'm sure young persons are able to really appreciate, just the energy you bring. So thank you so much. I
You're
hope
welcome.
that God continue to strengthen you as you do the great work that you have been doing to impact lives. I believe that you guys are the hidden heroes. You
Oh,
don't
thank
always
you.
get your praises in the open because everything you do is kind of, not kind of, but everything you do is really private.
Uh-huh.
So, you guys don't always get the credit in the limelight, but it's a really humbling job. And I know that it takes someone of true humility to do it, not knowing that you won't always carry your name
Mm-hmm.
or everything you do sound off, but you're doing it for a good reason. I know you're doing it for the right reason, and that's the beauty of it. Christ always talk about not putting out, sharing all the good you do, and I think that's what counselors do basically every day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank
So I
you.
appreciate your work.
Thank you. Thank you.
And if it's God's will, maybe one day I'll be in a similar position.
Hey.
Uh, that's one of my dreams. I don't know if it's God's dream for me, but one of my dreams.
Okay. Well, we'll see where he takes you. It will definitely be the path that he
We'll
has for
see.
you. The path that he has for you. Yeah.
We'll see.
Yes.
All right. Good night, Dr. Steph.
Good
Take care.
night, Elder Keith.
Oh, sorry. I usually end Friday nights and some Tuesdays with prayer.
Okay.
You know, it's Sabbath, so we try to give that spiritual element. All
Oh,
right,
me.
heads
Oh,
bowed.
okay. Go ahead.
I was gonna ask you to. Oh, I can't take off my cap. Mm-mm. Would you like to pray for us, please?
I sure will pray for us. Gracious God, our Heavenly Father, we're so thankful that we've had this opportunity to share, to laugh, to educate, to support, and to just let others know, let young people know that there is hope and ultimately that that hope is in you. We ask that you would keep us, that you would protect us, that you would heal those who are listening, that you would give them the courage to reach out for the help that they need and the peace that they need, and that they can find that in you. We thank you for these opportunities that we have to be your witness. Thank you, Father. Give us a good night and a safe night and a restful night's sleep. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. All right, just want to say thank you to our viewing audience, live and rebroadcast. Aisha says, definitely enjoyed this. Got a lot of needed information. Thank you so much. See
You're
that?
welcome.
Live testament. And
Yeah,
that's just one of the many who are gonna view this. So
yeah.
thank you for blessing the lives of these young people, Dr. Steph. And I look forward to having you again. This is my invitation for the future.
Okay. That's all I'm going to say right now.
Okay, that didn't work. I didn't work fully, but I'm definitely gonna be asking you again.
I know. We'll talk. We'll talk. You know, y'all young people. Okay. All right.
All right, Dr. Steph. Thank you.
Take care. Good night. Bye bye.
All right, good night.